What is up, people? Cybermage here, and today we are doing pivot through service accounts using dangerous permissions. So the scenario is we are on a purple team engagement for gigantic retail and have identified a GCP service account key file in an NTFS share. Your mission is to pivot to the cloud and increase our access in GCP and ultimately help to close down any identified attack paths. So the resource that's given here contains a GCP service account key. So we can go ahead and download this, make sure you're connected to the VPN as well, and move it to our Kali box. So this is the VPN I'm connected to. And if I do ls, this is the zip file that we get after we click this download resource button. So let's go ahead and unzip this. And we have two files here, gr project 4, and that's the service account key. And let's go ahead and take a look at that. So cat gr project 4, we can see the project ID is gr project 4, and other projects could still exist, and our service account could have access to those as well. We notice that this is a user created service account mainly from two things: this unique name over here, staging. Usually if it's well, there's three types of service account. One is a user created service account, and the way that we identify that it is user created is usually through the unique client email that's given. If it is a default service account, which is system managed identity, it would typically follow an automated naming pattern tied to the service, so such as this or this or this. And lastly, it's the other type of identity or service account is the workload identity. It's just a secure and keyless way for applications to authenticate it as a Google Cloud service account without downloading service account key. So you can already figure out that it's used for GitHub Actions. And yeah, the way that we would know that it is a workload identity in this category is from it not having a private key. So yeah, so three types of keys, and the way to distinguish them is usually from the client email and the private key. If it's not there, we can assume that it's a workload identity. And if it is there, it's going to be either default service account or user created service account. And to distinguish between those two, we would look at the client email to see if this is a unique or following some automated naming patterns. And depending on that, it's going to be one or the other. So yeah, let's get into this and first go ahead and see what permissions we have with this file. So let's go ahead and go to the tool called GCP permission checker. And we can just do Python 3 GCP. And we are going to need the token for this. So actually, I can probably do it without that as well. What is going on? Let's go ahead and paste this. And we can add the project ID, which is gr project 4 right over here. And this is the key file and the tool GCP perm checker. Let's go ahead and press enter. And it's going to go ahead and do this. I'm going to pause the video because this usually takes quite a while. There's over like 10,000 permissions it's going to check, which is listed in permissions.txt. So I'm going to pause and be right back. Okay, so we noticed that there are no permissions that we have found. There could be still permissions assigned. Obviously, this permission.txt, even though it contains like 1,000 or 10,000 permissions, doesn't necessarily mean it contains everything. So we can go ahead and check the project level gr project 4 for any attached policies. So let's go ahead and first authenticate with our user. So I'm going to go to file directory where the file is, and I'm going to authenticate. Great. Now let's go ahead and list the projects first, because obviously there could be other projects as well that we may have permissions to. And listed 0 items. All right. So it's not really showing us any projects that are available. Like we can't really view them, but we know that GR project 4 exists. So let's go ahead and try that directly. So gcloud projects get IAM policy and at the GR project 4 level or hierarchy. So let's go ahead and do that. And we see there are a bunch of permissions here. Now, one of the things that I notice is we have the staging to perm for our service account. So let's go ahead and clean this up and get a nice table for us to view. So we can go ahead and run this command over here, and it's just going to format it, the permissions in a table. And we actually only have one that we just saw previously. So yeah, it's just the staging to role. Let's go ahead and get some details about this permission. Let's copy this, paste it in here, and we are unable to get any permissions. So one of the things that we can do if we don't have the ability to get all the service accounts in the project, we can use the policy over here that is given, and we can take the service accounts mentioned over here, like payments, analytics. We can make a table or a list of service accounts using this and see if we have any permissions directly to target these other service accounts and move laterally. So that's what we can try to do. It would be better if we had the ability to list all the service accounts and stuff like this, but unfortunately we don't, since we can see over here, GCP perm checker did not find it, and I believe it would definitely find this type of permission, but it didn't, so we really can't do it. And yeah, we'll just use the policy that is at the GR project 4 hierarchy and take all these service accounts, emails, and make a list out of it. So the command to do that is given in the walkthrough. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy and paste it right here. And if we cat service accounts, we have a list of the emails of the service accounts. So let's go ahead and go to GCP SA brute. Now the command we're going to run is this over here. So what it's doing, it's going to try to enumerate all permissions that we can do on all the service accounts in our service accounts.txt file, and to authenticate, for it to authenticate, right, it's going to need our access token. So we just put this over here, gcloud auth print access token. So we're going to go ahead and click enter, and it's authenticating with our current user, which is the staging user, and just, trying it on each of these services or service accounts. And we see we have one permission on SQL 424, the service account, and we have the implicit delegation. And what this allows us is to run commands as this user, not really like take full control of the service account, but perform some actions as the service account in a very limited way. And one of the ways that we can abuse this is to see if whether this account specifically has the permissions to maybe generate access token on other service accounts. So what we can go here now is we're going to go ahead and do gcloud auth print access token for our current user. And there is a tool that I have made myself called delegateperm.sh, just a script. And I'm going to go ahead and show you guys that. It's also going to be in the description of this video. So first we have to print out our access token. Let's go ahead and put this in a variable called staging equals this. Perfect. And if we do bash delegate perms dash, it says that we have to use the token file. Okay, it's a file, so we don't really need to do this over here. We can just do nano stage underscore token.txt. Perfect. And the account that we are going to delegate with, right? The permissions that we're going to use is going to be of SQL, the service account. So we're going to put that email over here. And then the file, which is just all the service accounts. So let's do bash delegate token, the access token file, which is staging underscore token.txt. Delegate. You can take this over here, paste it in here, and for file, we'll just put service accounts.txt. And it's going to go ahead and loop through each one of them to see if we have any permissions. And we do have this generate access token on analytics service account. So we do find this exists. We can go ahead and copy this. And I'm going to go ahead and generate another access token called let's just call it access token. This should be fine. Copy this. And there we go. So now what we can do, so we've done this and we are now for analytics. Okay, yeah. So now we have to check the permissions for this new service account that we have. Usually we would do this with every single service account that we get. We would try to check the permissions. So we would try to check also for this SQL 424, but since we can't get the token for this user, we're unable to do that. We don't have permissions on there. We're going to go ahead and just do it with the new one that we got, which is right over here. It's analytics service account. Since we did get the access token for this, we can actually enumerate the permissions for this user. So to do that, Python 3, and right over here, I'm going to do this and call this access token. We're going to check for all permissions on the service accounts. And we do find that we have this permission to sign JWT on this platform and middleware service account. So this allows us to create an access token for this account. And and yeah, so we've done this. Go here. Yep. Sign command to bash no delegate. Great. Okay, that's fine. So since this particular tool, GCP HMAC, is not able to generate tokens using this permissions, I can go ahead and demonstrate that. So the command to do that would be tokens. It's unable to do that. So we'd have to do this more manually. And the tool that I used over here, which was my create a custom tool called this delegate perm sh. This is using the delegate argument over here to delegate as this user and then try a bunch of these permissions on each service account in the file. I created another tool called no delegate. So it's going to do the exact same thing as this, but without the delegate argument. So we can actually just go ahead and use that. So bash no delegate, and it's actually going to take the token that we have over here. This access token for which user was this again? This SQL. All right. No, sorry, not SQL. Analytics. Okay. So this access token for analytics, we're going to have to put it in a file. So we can do ls nano, paste this in here. And now we can do bash no delegate, and over here, and the file with all the service accounts right over here. So we can go ahead and run that. And perfect. Just like the tool that we used before, GCP HMAC, it found that we have this permission on the service account, and this tool right over here went ahead and exploited that. So now what we have to do is take this token and exchange it at the OAuth token endpoint to get the access token. And then with that access token, it will let us act as that service account. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take this and we're going to put it in a variable. So let's go ahead and do signJwt equal, paste that in there. And we're going to go ahead and use this command here. And over here, this is where we're putting this variable. And yeah, and this is the endpoint that we're going to exchange it with and get an actual access token. And there we go. We have gotten our access token. So what we can do now is go ahead and check the permissions for this user. I'm going to put this in another variable. I'm going to call this yeah. Okay, yeah. I'm going to put this in a variable and I'm going to call it, or what user was this again? Our platform. Copy, paste this. There we go. That is the access token for that. And we're going to use the permission checker on this. I'm going to go ahead, go back, GCP permissions checker, Python 3, GCP, and token, which is called platform. And there we go. Now this command takes a while, so again, I'm going to pause the video and I'm going to be right back when it's over. All right, it's done. And as you can see over here, there's like a hell of a lot of permissions, and it's going to be like a headache to go through all of them and understand them. So I'd usually just put this into ChatGPT and tell it to organize it for me. But if you go to the bottom, we can see over here, it has this ability to get secrets from the secret manager, as well as list the secrets from the secret manager. But just to recap now, I'm going to go ahead and try to explain what we have done so far. Hopefully it's going to be good enough that it's not going to ruin or make things more difficult for you. So we went ahead and over here with our key file, we authenticated and we went ahead and saw if we have any permissions on service accounts. And we found that we are able to we have this permission on this SQL service account. Now this implicit delegation, we're unable to actually go ahead and enumerate the permissions for this exactly because there are some restrictions. But what we can do is look for ways to or use this service account to delegate and try to see whether this service account has permissions on other service accounts to make any access token, and therefore actually doing some lateral movement because we can't really get the access token for this user, right? So we went ahead and tried that. So we're delegating as this. The file we're targeting is all the service accounts, and we found that we are able to generate an access token for analytics. Now, we did not do this part, which was actually going ahead and seeing the permissions for analytics. I kind of skipped over that, oh well. But nevertheless, and actually, it's a good idea to check for permissions for every access token that you acquire. But we unfortunately just skipped through this. I forgot to do this. But nevertheless, we wouldn't find any important permissions on any resources directly, just this role over here and this role over here. We would find that from GCP perm checker. But since we didn't find anything here in this case, we went back to the service accounts to see if we have any permissions on other service accounts. And then we found out that we have the signJwt permission on this platform service account to create an access token for this particular service account, we could have used this gcloud IAM service account signJwt command, which is given in the lab, but we went ahead and did it through another tool which I made, which is the nodelegate.sh script. And yeah, I just went through all the service accounts and tried 4 types of permissions, and one of them being signJwt. And if I scroll back up here, 4 types of permissions: signJwt, signBlob, generateAccessToken, and generateIDToken. So yeah, and right when we got our key or whatever, we went ahead and exchanged it at the OAuth token endpoint to get an access token. And then from there, we're doing one of the steps that we missed, which was enumerating permissions. So this time we actually went ahead and enumerated permissions for this service account called platform. And we noticed that it has quite of a lot permissions. But what we can always do is go back to our current sign-in user, which is staging. And we can use this command over here, since our staging user could get the IAM policies from GR Project 4. We can just use this and filter it to our current user that we have moved laterally to this platform middleware service account. So if you press enter, it's going to go ahead and get permissions relevant to this service account. And we notice that it has the secret manager viewer, run invoker, and compute viewer. You could have gone ahead and done this command with the other service accounts that we had access token of, and specifically analytics, right? This analytics, this analytics service account. But yeah, we went ahead and actually skipped all of that. But if you wanted to go ahead and check this out, all we had to do is just copy this. Go ahead and copy this. Here, remove this. And there we only have these 2 permissions, not any actual permissions on some resources. So yeah. Let's go ahead and check out secret manager, because that should be, the main target over here, key target. And to do that, we can go ahead and do gcloud list secrets. And yeah, but to actually run this command, we're going to have to put this token that we have in a file. So the variable that we put this into to run this GCP perm checker was platform. So I'm going to go ahead and do echo $platform. I'm going to go ahead and put this to platform token.txt. And another thing that we could have done is actually gone ahead and list some of the projects. Perhaps our current user, which is, well, that was the scenario. We weren't able to list the project as our staging user, but we could try to list projects as these other tokens that we have got, such as analytics and I keep forgetting the name, this platform service account. But yeah, if we actually do run that command, I'll actually try that. Should give you some visuals. So copy this, paste this token, platform underscore token.txt. And we can see there's actually just one, which is GR project 4. So yeah, moving on, we've listed secrets, and we notice that there's 2, payments and payment storage. And we can go ahead and get the value of these using this command over here. So in this case, the secret we're targeting is payments, the project, which is GR project 4, and the access token file is going to be platform underscore token.txt. And we notice that we have some HMAC keys, and an HMAC key is a type of access credential associated with service accounts. So it's for service accounts, and it allows them to authenticate and interact specifically with Google Cloud Storage. So, and HMAC keys can be used with gsutil, which is a command line tool for interacting with Google Cloud Storage. We can go ahead and check the other secret that also exists, which is this payment storage one. And all right, platform underscore token, gr stripe. So there's no indication of what this is meant for, what this means. It could be a storage or a bucket, or it could be another project. You never know, right? So yeah, just to note, we can keep this in our notes in case it might come in handy. So let's go ahead and try to authenticate with gsutil using this command over here, gsutil config-h, and use the HMAC keys that we found. And to do, you can just copy this. And there we go. So one of the things to note over here is it says this command will configure JMAC credentials, but gsutil will use OAuth credentials from the Cloud SDK by default. To make sure the HMAC credentials are used, run gcloud config set and this to false. So yeah, if we go ahead and try to use this command over here, gsutil ls, which is to list buckets, we'll notice that it's failing because it's not really using the HMAC keys. It's using the Cloud SDK by default, which means it's using the staging service account. So we're going to go ahead and run the command that's mentioned over here. Actually use the HMAC keys. And there we go. Now we're going to run gsutil again. And it doesn't really work. That's strange. It was working for me before. And the reason why it's not running is please rerun it and make sure of the following instructions for finding and entering. So it's asking for a project ID. Now to do that, I think it was a command over here. Where was it? Project. I'm just going to copy this. I don't think this was how I done it. Okay, I'm going to pause the video and try to find the command that I use. Apparently it's not in my notes, so give me a moment. All right, I'm back. So we just need to set the project ID. I thought it was like a gsutil command, but yeah, we're gonna have to set it in gcloud. So gcloud config set project and gr project 4, and we can just do yes. I'm also gonna go ahead and try to turn this to true to show you that it actually the difference. So true, and we're gonna use the same gsutil ls command. Okay, perfect. We got the access denied, just what we wanted. So now we're going to go ahead and turn this to false, which is going to use our HMAC keys. And now we're going to use the same command again, gsutil ls. And there we go. We found this bucket is what I would call it. But ls, and now gr stripe. And we find the flag.txt, and we can just get the flag by running this command over here. It's just going to print it out to the screen because of this dash. So yeah, I'm not going to go ahead and do it because it's going to show you guys the flag, but that is pretty much it for this video. Take care, guys, and see you for the next one.